Welcome to Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. I am Mark.
I am Josh.
I am so excited about what we're about to do today. This is exciting. So we're here talking Lego, Lego Masters, and we got someone that I'm so excited to talk to. I've talked to Jamie and Amy, talked to Nick and Stacy. Now we're talking to someone that became a huge star in the world of Lego Masters, a huge star in the world of like building Lego and being a great designer. I'm so unbelievably excited. He is now working for Lego. Boone Langston, how are you?
Hey, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Josh. I'm awesome. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah. It's morning over here. I hear it's not that way where you are.
No, it is almost dark here. It's getting dark pretty early, and it is 4 in the afternoon in Denmark right now. And the sun has gone down. I think actually right now is the sunset today. And we're hopefully headed back toward the sun sticking around a little bit longer each day, but it gets dark earlier than I'm used to.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, like what's that shift like? So you just moved from the west coast of America to Denmark. Like what's that like? That must be a big shift anyways, right?
It is. Yeah, it's been wild. The weather and the sunlight, daylight / time kind of stuff isn't a huge change because I was in Portland, Oregon, and I think we're in Denmark, the equivalent north of like maybe halfway up British Columbia. If you sort of think about that being like directly north of Portland where I lived. So our transition wasn't as drastic as, say, someone from like Southern California, would have a much different experience of like the weather here. But I guess, another thing about moving here is language. Going to the grocery store and everything is written in Danish. We're using the Google Translate app all the time. I'm doing Duolingo. I'm on like day 273 of Duolingo or something like that, doing Danish. And but it's cool and we're really liking it. Billund is a small town. I walk to the Lego product and marketing building every day. And I live, it's about a 7-minute walk or like a 3-minute bike ride. I hardly ever drive my car anymore because everything we need is just like right here. And then maybe we might decide to drive to a bigger town, once a weekend or something like that. But it's been a real change in our life and we're having a lot of fun with it so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, we got to get to the Lego Master stuff, of course, but while we're on just talking about your transition here, I'd love to know, like, what is a day in the life of, a senior Lego designer?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things I can't tell you because it's a lot of secrets and we like for our products to be a surprise when they're announced and when they hit the shelves. But I can say that like I get a hot chocolate from a coffee machine for free every morning.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and then we've got, I got to think through what I'm allowed to say. But I go and I work with a wonderful team. I'm working with there's people on my team who I never knew before, but some other people on my team that I've met before and some people on my team that I've looked up to for years. Like right across from me works this incredible designer named Marco Spessa, and he the first I was aware of him, he designed years ago the Lego Ideas Ghostbusters Ecto 1. So it was was the very first Lego Ghostbusters set. He designed Diagon Alley that came out a couple years ago. He designed the Hogwarts Express that just came out. He's designed the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like the first Lego Milano was really cool, and he designed that. He sits right across from me, right?
Wow.
And then the guy, one of the other designers on my team is a guy named Alberto, and he used to be an element designer. So in our building, we've got model designers and element designers and people who work on the building instructions. And Alberto designed this Lego piece that is like a piece of coral, and so it kind of looks like a branching piece of coral. And the genius behind this piece, because it has all these different connections and you can connect to it, and they're all in grid, and you can connect to all the angles by using different different pieces of Lego and different Lego hinges, and it's just brilliant to look at this piece and understand how they made all of these connection points in system for Lego. And so that's Alberto, right? And he designed that piece probably 7 years ago or something. And
That's amazing.
That's
yeah,
really
it's
cool.
and so I have a lot of fun sitting with those people, and we're we just spend a lot of time. I'll say we spend a lot of time thinking about what does what are the ideas that we're trying to bring to life in the products, what is the play that we're trying to encourage for kids and for adults. We work with a lot of IP partners, so there's
Yeah.
people in the building working with Disney, there's people working with Marvel and DC, and so all of those stakeholders have their teeth in the game, right? And so it's a lot of moving pieces, and it's a lot of fun, and every single day I come home and kind of can't believe I've been able to spend a day at work doing what I do.
Uh-oh. Boone, I have to tell you, I see a red laser dot. It's on your chest. I think the Lego assassins are coming for you now after revealing all these
Say
secrets.
too much.
No, I haven't said too much.
No.
I held on to all the secret stuff.
Yeah. Like obviously, like you grew up playing with Lego. I imagine you started as a small child, right? Like
Yeah.
And did
Yeah,
you?
I
Yeah.
I can't remember how young I was. I remember I had Duplo before I had
Uh-huh.
System Brick. And so I imagine I was probably 2 or 3 when I was building with Duplo, and then probably 4 and 5 when I was playing with Lego System Brick. So yeah,
Do you remember like your first set that you built?
I do. The first set that I built, and I don't recall the number or the name off the top of my head, but it was like a Shell gas station.
Okay.
But the first really significant set to me was a pirate ship called the Black Seas Barracuda,
I
and
had
it
that one.
was
Yeah.
it. Yep,
Yeah.
came out in 1989. I got it for Christmas in 1990. I was 6 years old when I got that set, and that is one of the sets from my childhood that I have held on to, and I still have it. And the designer of that set has a little office about 20 feet away from my desk, and he still works
Oh.
at Lego. It's unbelievable.
That's amazing. That's awesome that you get to work with your childhood heroes right there.
Yeah.
I have to apologize as well. We've gone too long into this podcast without congratulating you on your victory with the Holiday Bricktacular.
Yes.
So I just want to say formally, congratulations. We're very pumped. And we did a recap episode already. So anybody watching, you can go find In Silent Podcast and hear more of our thoughts. But yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a really wild experience. And Mark and I on season 1 got so close to winning that trophy. I wish I could have brought Mark along for the ride for this holiday bricktacular. From the first holiday Lego Masters special in Australia, they've now done 2 or 3, I think, and we've done one, and there's been one just came out in the UK, and maybe some other countries have done it as well. But they've always kind of gone with this shtick of like pairing, one builder with one celebrity, and so I went and unfortunately had to do it without Mark, but I was privileged to be able to build with Robin Thicke, and we did make up songs on the fly. There was tons of stuff that didn't even make it to the edit, right? But it was a lot of fun, and in the end got to grab that trophy. So, and give all four of the charities were given some amount of money, and we were able to give that big I think it was $20,000 chunk to the Red Cross.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like watching that, like I love that mini season. I thought it was like so great watching. Like we were talking about when we were podcasting about like how it was like Robin Thicke like seemed like you were building for years, and then there are teams that it feels like they never touched Lego before. Well, not teams, but like half of the team,
Yeah.
And I think that was true for some of them, but it was funny watching the growth of Robin under your tutelage in the arc of the season. Like I feel like he went from someone that's like me or Josh, where they're fans of Lego, to like being like, I know what I'm doing with Lego. Without
it was and it was really interesting because he I think he came into it, and I honestly I don't know I'm about to say something and I don't know for sure whether it's true or not, but there was this rumor that Robin actually thought he was going to be a judge on the show, and then he got there and found out he's one of the builders. But he just dove in with just kind of a ferocity, is that a word?
Yeah, that's
and he he had really strong ideas, and he had really strong opinions, and we really were a team when it came to the ideation. And then I actually learned a lot from Tyler on season 1, because Tyler and Amy won. Amy went into that competition having not been a builder, and Tyler was able to take these ideas at the beginning of each challenge and very quickly engineer something for the challenge that he could build or demonstrate, and then show Amy, and then Amy could like do that over and over again and replicate. And then she of course had 10 challenges, and she grew tremendously over the course of that competition. But I went into Holiday thinking like, okay, I could do that with a celebrity builder that doesn't have a lot of experience with Lego, and that was kind of became my goal. And Robin really just he took off with it, so it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
With getting to be there with some of the other builders and celebrities, I mean, I just would love to know if there's any other stuff, that great moments that didn't make the show. I mean, if there's any special moments filming with Leslie Jordan. Obviously, it was really sad to hear of his passing. But just I don't know, just any moments stand out that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, I will say, Leslie, we were heartbroken when we heard the news. Because I didn't know the guy, but we went through an experience together that makes you feel like you at least kind of know a person, right? Like you can't go through something like Lego Masters with people and not feel some amount of connection to them, right? And Leslie and I did some singing together that didn't make it on the show. And so that's just, that is something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And he was such an electric, warm personality. If you know Leslie's content, and you enjoy the person that you see as Leslie on screen, you know the real Leslie, because he just is. He's one of those people that walks through the world and makes people smile and brightens up rooms, and you just can't help but feel that, right, and take that with you. And so yeah, when I heard that he passed, I actually went and I went downstairs in our building here, and I found Jamie, and Jamie already knew. And we just went into a meeting room and just kind of like talked about Leslie for a good 35 or 40 minutes, and I wept, and I didn't know that it was sitting with me. And I think it'd been about 12 hours since I'd heard like right before bed the night before. And I didn't know that it was sitting with me as deeply as it was until I started talking about it with Jamie. And so it was, man, this is a lot of stuff I'm giving you,
No,
but
we love
that
it.
I don't know if anyone's gonna care, but
Yeah, no,
um
this is
This
this
is
is
great.
beautiful
Yeah.
to hear.
yeah, so that moment where I got to sing with Leslie, and you don't see that in the edit, but I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. Another thing that I should say about that question, and you do see this in the final edit, but I don't know that it necessarily comes across with the same intensity that we felt it in the moment, and that was Mel building for a bridge challenge,
Mm,
because Mel and Jermaine on season 1, they really felt like they fell short of the challenge, and they went home, on that
Yeah.
challenge. And Mel and I are actually very good friends. Mel and Jermaine and Mark and I shared a lot of meals together, off stage during season 1. We had a couple of weekend days, and Mark and I took Mel to Disneyland, and then Mel has visited Portland a couple of times since season 1, and so we've just been very close. So I was incredibly pleased for Mel to come back for holiday special. Bricktacular. It has so many names.
Celebrity
The
Holiday
holiday
Bricktacular.
Lego
Yeah.
Masters Celebrity Holiday Bricktacular. So I was really pleased that Mel came back for that. And then we go into this bridge challenge, and he's just, he starts that challenge really down, conflicted, reminded, all of these memories of like this failure that he felt at his end of season 1. And so we were all rooting for Mel and Leslie in that challenge, right? And then when they won, well, when they were in the top 2 for weight, that would have been enough to change his life, right?
Yeah.
In that regard. And I think because of the wonderful, very holiday stuff, I think in the end, our sleigh looked more like, I didn't hear Dom say cruise ship when it was happening. So I saw that in the edit, it's like a
Yeah.
cruise ship
Yeah.
with a little bit of Christmas slapped on it. I can understand that. And think think Mel and Leslie got the points for kind of having the Christmas, having the holiday aesthetic baked in. And then when they won, and he goes down to his knees, and it really, I don't think, I'm not Mel, so I can't speak for him, but I imagine that will change his perspective and feelings and experience of Lego Masters for the rest of his life. Because it really was this very redemptive moment, and it meant a lot to him, and we could feel it in the
Yeah.
room, right?
I feel like everyone that was cast from that were like all-star players were cast for the reason of like a redemption arc, That's what
Mm,
I got. That's what I gathered as a viewer, because like with you and that, like, and Dom and everyone, it was just like I feel like everyone's feel like it came up short for whatever reason, and like here's a
mm-hmm.
chance for them to like better themselves in a nice holiday spirit. That's like one of the things I
Yeah,
loved about that casting.
yeah, and it was great. Oh yeah, there's so many things to say about it, but it was really interesting because we um because of the delay in start for season 3. You know, I think it was
Whereas
going to start airing in June, and then it didn't start airing until
September.
September or something like that.
Yeah.
I actually met Dom and we taped the holiday special before I was introduced as Dom
The character.
on
Yeah.
TV, right? And
Yeah.
so I didn't know anything about how their story went through season 3. And so it was very interesting to watch season 3 after having been with him. And I was really pleased because I think Dom is someone that you know, and I think there are certainly other people from the 3 seasons of Lego Masters that could have done just as well at this, but you know, Dom is one of those people that you want to see more of Dom than we were able to see in season 3 because of the way things went. But anyway, and then Natalie was awesome, and of course I just had so much fun, you know, hanging with my friend Mel again. So it was great.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, you know, the Lego side of stuff, it makes sense coming on the show, but had you ever been like a reality TV fan before this? Because, you know, Silent Podcasts, our bread and butter is reality TV, but, you know, were you familiar with kind of just the editing, kind of the storylines of reality TV, or is that something that was just like totally new to you and you're just up for it because it, you know, was a Lego show?
Yeah. Okay. So, are you ready? Because you've asked me a question that I can talk for a long time about.
Let's do it.
So I'll try to make it short. We were huge fans of what was that singing show, American Idol. We were huge fans of American Idol in like the first probably 6 or 7 years, and then the judges started like turning over and over again. And back then, so what this was probably like 2002, 2003, 2004. I was actively is not the right word. I was seriously considering going to audition for American Idol. And I was watching for them to come to Portland because I was like, you know, I want to do this. I don't want to do it bad enough to like I was going to college, you know, I was dating, I had a lot of friends, and I didn't want to like totally change my life just to try, right? So I was like, I'm gonna wait for them to come back to Portland. And then by the time they came to Portland again, we had lost interest, and I had gotten married and we were doing other things. So I never auditioned for American Idol. And then I watched this show called King of the Nerds on, I think it was on TBS. Do you guys ever watch King of the Nerds?
I have not. Yeah.
I've heard of it because it was kind of like a spin-off-ish, not of like geek, being the geek, but sort of, right?
Yeah, it's like Survivor, but nerd stuff. So all of the challenges, they're living at like, I think they're living at the house from Revenge of the Nerds, and the hosts are the two like main guys from Revenge of the Nerds, and when you win, you get to sit on the throne of games, which looks like the Iron Throne, but it's made out of like Wii controllers and like Rockstar, you know. Anyway, and so I loved that show, and I wanted to audition for King of the Nerds because I was watching this show and I was like, man, I could do good in that challenge. I could do good in that challenge. And then on season 2, I start watching season 2 of the King of the Nerds, and I was like, all right, man, I really want to audition. And I recognize one of the women that's competing on this show, and we went to high school together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Kayla. I know her from high school. She goes and wins season 2 of King of the Nerds. So then I'm connecting with her on Facebook for the first time, you know, in like, I don't know, probably 12 or 15 years at that point. And you know, she kind of becomes like my reality TV insider, right? Because now she's part of like, you know, groups online, and she starts hearing things, you know, about, and she's able to give me a lot of insights into like what audition processes are like, and what kind of group of people casting is trying to put together for, you know, just kind of generally speaking, for a season of a reality TV show. And and then during that time, I actually auditioned for a show called it was the working title was The Handmaid Project, but it ended up being called Making It with Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler.
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
Is that
That's me? I live in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, I'll mute.
No, it's fine. That's fine. We almost never hear sirens here, so I've heard like 3 sirens in the last 6 months. But anyway, so I submitted all the stuff required to apply for the show, Making It, and they wanted something like 40 photographs of things you've made, and it was a crafting show, And as I'm collecting pictures to submit for my Making It audition, I'm recognizing that like half of them are Lego creations, and I'm thinking like, man, I wish there was a Lego show that I could audition for. And I ended up getting through a couple of rounds of auditions for Making It, and then they kind of fell off, and I didn't end up being on the show. But then Lego Masters started in the UK, and then they had a season in Germany, and then it was Australia that really kind of like set the tone of what Lego Masters would be, around the world. And then my friend Kayla, who had won King of the Nerds, sent me a message and said, "Hey, Boone, I've heard through the grapevine that Lego Masters is coming to the US, so get ready because you should be able to audition sometime in the next few months."
I love that the literal queen of the nerds is how you got onto Lego Masters, because that's amazing. I mean, as you can guess, Mark and I very much identify as nerds, and so that's a amazing kind of lore to your backstory here on the show.
Yeah, and then another kind of cool connection is the casting folks and the like the production assistants and some of the producers, particularly like the story producers, they all work they don't call it reality TV, they call it unscripted television.
Yeah.
And they are all working in those types of shows. So some of the people that I met through, just being backstage on Lego Masters, some of them have worked on, like Next Top Models. Some of them have worked on The Masked Singer. Some of them have worked on, what was a big one? They were Chef, the
Top Chef?
Top Chef. Yeah,
okay.
Top Chef. A bunch of Lego Masters folks had worked on Top Chef. And so they really know what they're doing, right? And they can take that. There's kind of a general formula, for lack of better word, that they can apply, and then obviously working with Lego, there are a lot of things that then the Lego group comes in and they want the show to have these values and these kind of motivations, and then that changes a little bit from show to show depending on what they're doing, but it's really cool stuff. And I have such a great appreciation now for like when we'll watch the what it is, the Great British Baking Show, and or the Bake Off, and I can like feel the intensity of the time running down, and like trying to squeeze more into 2 hours or 5 hours than you really have time for, and I'll recognize these little things in the edit and be like, oh yeah, that's how they do that. That's how they do this thing, and
yeah.
And if they said that, it probably means that this happened, and yada yada yada. But it's funny now and fun to be a part of that world.
I bet
it's wild.
Like, were you watching the other versions of Lego Masters before you got cast in it? Like,
so yeah, it was actually really hard to get them back then.
Like, you need a VPN. Well, that's how you do it now, but
yeah. So we like the British one, the German one was nowhere to be found. The and I've heard the German one is really weird anyway. Like,
makes sense.
I don't know, but the British one, the only way I was able to watch was like segments on YouTube where like the person who uploaded it put in like the random audio track along with it to like try to avoid from being flagged by the, and so I'm trying to watch and it's just horrible to watch because you can hardly hear what's going on in the show. And then when we got there, Sam Hatmaker from season 1 had come with a thumb drive of all of the episodes of the first season of Australia. And so we just passed that thumb drive around and we all watched season 1 of Australia before we started taping season 1. And we're like, okay, we think we've got an idea of how this goes. And it was good. It was helpful, but in a way, for the Fox show, they were trying to do everything bigger and better than Australia had done. And I think in some ways they succeeded. I see comments from all around the world, and a lot of people love the American show. A lot of people love the Australian show, and people all over the place have their favorites. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but I'm guessing then. So had you seen the holiday specials before you did this holiday special at this point? So like the Snow Globe, I know they did in Australia.
So I watched the first Australian holiday special. So I think there had been 2 before we started, but or maybe did their second one come out this year, or are they on their third one? I don't remember.
I don't remember because I watched a little bit of both of them in the last few months. So I'm not sure exactly when it aired.
Yeah, I watched season 1 because Henry and Cade won their season 1, and I have subsequently become online friends with both of them, and so I wanted to watch Henry compete on their holiday special. So, but I haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah, let's talk about season 1 now for you. Like, I mean, I think like season 1 is so cool. Like watching, first off, I love like how the show's changed since season 1 all the way through the Bricktacular. I think like it's shown such insanely cool growth, and obviously it's not on you necessarily, but like I think watching, like I just rewatched all of season 1 once we figured out this was probably happening, and I love like the like the way your builds are, especially like the first one. Like how do you come back from like the mechanics not working in Lumberland to like becoming? I hate boost like saying this, but like becoming like an awesome like icon for us nerds with beards.
Yeah. I shouldn't have worn a black shirt, but because you can hardly see my beard. But okay, what was the question? How do you come back? So. How do you come back from?
Yeah, like I mean, I saw like in your face, like once the mechanism like stops, like right near the top, and you just see like all the color drop from your face and Mark, and you're just like, oh no, we like because immediately you guys are people that you can cheer for in the show, like immediately. And at least for me, but it's that thing of like you're watching and you're like, oh man, these guys are cool. I hope they do well, and then like it gets there and it just stops, and. Like, how do you bounce back from that?
I think it really was like not going home, right? Like, okay, we didn't get sent home, so we've got another shot. Like, I don't know. I think that's it. Was like, all right, we better make the most of like our next chance, and every time we didn't go home, it was sort of like that. It was like, and then, I think around episode 4, we started winning, and then we won a bunch in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Or maybe in the, middle to end of the season. We had a lot of wins, so that felt really good, but we were never sure, we never walked into a judging, really like 100% confident, like especially as teams are going home, and the number of teams is getting smaller and smaller, and so then you get to a point where you're like, well, it's like you used to have this kind of safe middle. You can for the first 4-5 episodes, you're like, okay, well, it's okay if we're not in the top 2 as long as we're not in the bottom 2.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where, there's only 4 teams left, and suddenly if you're not in the top 2, you are in the bottom 2. And then there's 3 teams left for the finale, I think. And on our season, we had 2 episodes with 3 teams, right? So
Yes.
then for those challenges, it's like, well, now there's no more top 2 and bottom 2. It's like, if you're not the top team, you're in the bottom 2, and so I think every time we didn't go home was like a reset, like, okay, we've got one more chance. We're not guaranteed 2 more chances, but we've got one more chance. And I think every time it was just kind of like, let's make the most of all the energy we've put in so far and give it our best again, and it's exhausting to do that. And honestly,
It's like 12-hour builds for the most part in that first season.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy hours.
Camera on
and
you
then
the whole
and then you go camera on you, then you're on your feet the whole time. Then you go, when you do get to sleep, you can't sleep because your brain is going like, buzzing about either like what's coming tomorrow or what happened today, or like how am I, you know what I mean? And so honestly, I think we really felt drained by the end. And I've heard from other contestants that like talk about they reach this point of just like not having any more to give, and sometimes that's why a team goes home when they do. And for some teams that happens on episode 3, and for some teams that happens on episode 8, and it's really intense. And then, like my job now, at the end of the day, you're building with Lego, so it's incredibly fun. Anyway, you're building with Lego bricks, and we're not supposed to use Lego as a standalone word. It's always supposed to be an adjective. So anyway, I won't get after anyone else, but I will get after myself. So
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of fun, being there with Will Arnett, it seemed like in season 1 you were his go-to guy. It felt like, you can tell me if this is editing or not, that he hovered around yours and Mark's station more than everybody else's in that first season. Always he was asking you for songs and
go to the brick now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to, like, was that the edit, or did it feel like you guys had like a really strong rapport? And is he legit? Like, is he the way off camera as he is on camera?
Yeah, Will is hilarious. And he did spend a lot of time at our table, and I think that I think that he didn't, when it came down to it, they want to be fair to the teams. Will didn't come over to our table a lot more often than the other teams, but I think something about the chemistry that Will and Mark and I had when he came to our table, we just ended up joking around longer. And he would be at our table sometimes. You're talking about the edit. Sometimes Will would be at our table for 35 minutes, and just like, just like we're playing off each other, and then he kind of like takes a breath and we dive into something else just to give the editors a lot of great stuff, right? And those moments were really awesome and really hilarious. And Will's humor is also tends a little more adult than the audience of this show. So there's a lot of things, some really hilarious incredible moments with Will didn't actually end up making it into the final edit. And those are things as well, like I was saying with Leslie, those are things that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And unfortunately, because they didn't make it into the Lego Masters edit, I'm also not going to tell those stories now. But if you guys ever see me off camera, just ask me to tell you my Will stories, and I'll tell you.
You have no idea which I want to go to Denmark, so yeah, I'll
Okay.
I want to bring this up because, like, so I was watching Lego Masters as it was airing, and about midway through the season is like when the pandemic really like took hold here in
Mm-hmm.
America,
Yeah.
and I distinctly remember that there was a week where I like missed an episode. I'm like watching on Hulu the next week, and that was when everything shut down. That was the
Yeah.
week of Need for Speed Super Bridge, which is,
Mm.
in my personal opinion, and I've been very vocal about this, is literally one of the best reality episodes of any competition show in the last 3 years.
And
I
Mark
mean that.
watches
Like,
a
I mean,
lot
like,
of reality
like
TV.
there's been like the
Yeah.
drama in the episodes like so beautiful, and like it's so cool, like watching like the second half of the episode just so mind-blowing. And then like I had 2 episodes back to back because like I missed that episode, and then to watch the storybook episode, which is like the exact opposite but still so beautiful. And like
Mm.
like this is such a dorky thing. Like I don't say dorky, whatever. This is, we're talking about Lego, and
Yeah.
we're adults. But watching the Super Bridge episode like inspired me to like buy Lego sets again.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't see it, but above me I have the Friends Cafe, Central
Yeah.
Perk, and
Yeah.
like one of my early dates during the pandemic, my girlfriend were long distance, was doing the Baby Yoda build. Like we spent 7 hours on our
Cool.
Zoom call just making that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have come up to you during the pandemic and since, saying like, thank you for being you, like, and like helping me get back into Lego as an adult. Like, how did it feel? I'm bringing back to that question about the Super Bridge. Like, how did it feel like building that and having them have to stop putting weight on because you built a real bridge. You built a real bridge.
Yeah. You guys, this was such a crazy day. It was when we were taping that episode. I'm trying to think about how much of this I can say, and I think it's been long enough now, and we've told these stories, so I'm just going to try to do it short. It was a Wednesday. It was the night before Thanksgiving. Okay, so it's probably what 4 months before it aired.
Yeah.
We were taping, and everybody wants to go home and start their Thanksgiving holiday, right? And we're putting weight on these bridges, and between each bridge for safety, they have to, we clear the floor, and they have to come out and clean up the debris from the last bridge, and they reset all the weights, and then we go back and we start again. And and they were basing their estimations for how much weight the bridges were going to hold on Australia's bridge challenge. And the Australian bridge challenge, the strongest bridge had held the equivalent of like 250 pounds. And so they were, I think, prepared to put 400 pounds on these bridges. And so when Aaron and Christian's bridge held more than 400 pounds, they had to like stop and go find more weight. And then they broke Aaron and Christian's bridge at like 450 or 460 or something like that.
Mhm.
And then a lot of the other bridges broke before that or around that. And then they get to Amy and Tyler's bridge, and there's, blows Aaron and Christian's. Did I say? Yeah, Amy and Tyler. There's blows Aaron and Christian's out of the water, and then they keep going, and they get to another point where they run out of weight again because they had they had the weight that was prepped for like looking good on camera.
Yeah.
And then during Aaron and Christian's bridge, they had to go find weights from like the lighting department, and weigh them to make sure they are the same weight. And then they run out of weights again on Amy and Tyler's bridge. And so we leave again, and they're off in some other department trying to, now they're, in like the props department, just trying to find, or the, the set department, trying to find weight to use. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. People are already on overtime, these like union camera guys and all the people that are there. And the head producer is like pacing back and forth because I'm sure he can just see dollar signs flying out the window, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody wants to go home for Thanksgiving. And then there was a point, I think it was after Aaron and Christian's bridge broke, because they pushed us to try to estimate, and you probably saw this in the episode. They pushed us to try to estimate how many pounds our bridges were going to hold. And I kept saying, I don't give them an answer. I said, I don't know. Like I can look around the room and I think our bridge is going to hold more than that bridge. And I think it's going to hold more than that bridge. I think it's going to hold more than that bridge. But I just don't have a great sense of what numbers and weight mean. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. That's just not something that I have in my brain to use. So I would not answer. And then when Aaron and Christian's bridge broke at like 4:50, I walked over to a PA, production assistant, and I said, "Are they prepared to put 1,000 pounds on these bridges?" and the PA laughed at me, like, "Oh, like, haha, 1,000 pounds." But when I saw Aaron, and because I knew how much stronger I thought our bridge was than Aaron and Christian's.
Yeah.
So as soon as their break gave me a number reference, I had in my head, our bridge can hold more than 1,000 pounds. And in the end, Tyler and Amy's bridge and our bridge both held, over 1,000 pounds, and we'll never know how much they would have held, because they literally got to a point where they were out of resources to continue finding weight at, I don't know, 9 or 10 p.m. on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. And they really did, they did not anticipate putting 1,000 pounds on these bridges. So the safety precautions that they had put in place were not designed for putting 1,000 pounds on these bridges. So and you hear Will in the edit, he says, we're stopping this because we don't feel it's safe. And it's true. And so then Mark and I, once they stopped Amy and Tyler, all Mark and I had to do was hit 1,000, and it was just this moment, and you can watch us, and we're just like getting more and more excited, and we're getting more and more like cavalier with like how much weight we're putting on, because now all we got to do is get to 1,000, and oh, you guys, I'm sorry, this has been a long story, but
it's great.
It's one of the it's one of the stories from season 1
Oh,
that
absolutely.
like is just one of the most memorable moments. And so I guess I'm going to try to connect it finally to your question, which is, I think people just with Lego Masters, people started believing in creativity in a way that perhaps they hadn't before, and we had the great privilege of being part of something that helped people out there, and it was an incredibly strange and depressing time, a scary time, an uncertain time for people all over the place, right? And so we've heard so many stories about how it was just exactly what people needed when they needed it. I've always been really proud to be a part of that.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I've told Mark this, but I feel like Lego Masters, like, secret ingredient, or what makes it like so uniquely entertaining, is just the sincerity. Like, I think like with reality TV shows, a lot of like these competition shows, you sometimes get the sense that like, I don't know, but Mark's interview with Jamie and Amy, like, really, I feel like also showed this, like, Will, even just, he's never seems on camera, at least, too cool for school. Like, I love just, everybody is, again, it's Lego bricks. It's, it's a toy for children. And the fact that like everybody takes it seriously and there's passion, I think it just like, it makes the show so entertaining and heartwarming, because you believe that everybody's having fun and taking it so seriously. And so I love that, you know, hearing like you're saying that there was like genuine tension and you're excited for that. And I feel like also like this story it reminds me of like Babe Ruth calling his home run when you say, okay, we're gonna put 1,000 pounds on this thing, and it's this legendary moment now. Because that is an amazing reality TV episode. I mean, I think we all were on the edge of our seats, just like, you know, especially like you're saying in the context of when that was airing, like just so excited for, you know, to see the possibility of what Lego could hold, and I think set the tone for even the rest of the show and the rest of the seasons. Now that we've seen that this kind of magical moment is possible, now it's like anything like that could happen at any point, you know, in any of the episodes, you know, afterwards.
Yeah, and you know, the challenges, they just they continue to surprise me with what they're able to come up with for challenges, you know. And the team that's working on that, there's this guy named Brent Benedetti who has he was one of the challenge producers on season 1, and he has continued to be you know, the primary. I think something's sorry. I think one of my children just got hurt or something, but my wife's going to check. But it's just you guys don't hear that? Okay. Anyway, Brent, he had a another challenge producer with him in season 1 named Christian. They were both just incredible, and you know, they had a whole team of people that were stocking the brick pit and testing the challenges to make sure that they were giving us challenges that worked, you know. And they've got lists of ideas of challenges, and some of the, you know, there are challenges you've seen in season 2 and 3 that they, you know, might have been thinking about in season 1 and had some barriers for whatever reason. But it's just really cool, and there's so much more they can do. Christian actually went on. He was a challenge producer on Domino Masters. Brent,
nice.
Brent is still with Lego Masters. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, like, yeah, I mean, because I do feel like I remember that Jamie and Amy told me that that like every Lego Masters season steals from like other very international versions, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like now, like because like the bridge one happened in other versions before it came to America. And I remember, I think Demolition Derby, I remember they said, or the windmill one was also an international one.
Golf was actually an Australia season 1 challenge.
Oh, cool.
Was that Australia, or maybe not, maybe it wasn't Australia, but it might have been Netherlands or something like that, or Germany. But I had seen the mini golf challenge before. But they do always try to change them a little bit so that it's not exactly the same. You know, they give them like a little bit different, you know, they give them a little bit different criteria, or they give them a little bit different layout, or a different size or shape, or a different twist, you know, and they try to keep it fresh in that way, because, you know, most people aren't able to watch all of the, you know, seasons from around the world, but some people do find a way, and they're all fun to watch.
Yeah. I know you're gonna have to get going here soon, but I have to get this question in before you're out, because I was talking with my nephews who are very, very excited that
so this is the hard-hitting journalism.
Yes, exactly. Here we go. So this is from them yesterday, talking with them. So from Nolan, Chase, Cooper, and Bradley, they were very concerned about the trophy when Robin joked that he wanted to keep it in his house. So is that thing sitting next to his Grammys in some Hollywood mansion, or did it make its flight to Denmark, or you know, where is the location of the trophy?
Nolan, Chase, Cooper, and Bradley. Is that them?
You got it right.
Thank you for asking. I've actually had a number of people reach out to me with that concern, and I said to Brent Benedetti, that challenge producer, I said, because Robin said that, and then I said, Brent, if Robin is gonna get the trophy, please just send it to me first so that I can build a replica of it. Then I'll send Robin the replica, but tell him it's the real one. And Brent was like, no, Robin's charity got $20,000. You can have the trophy. So they held on to it. They always hold the trophy until after the finale airs, because they don't want it to accidentally slip into someone's background of their YouTube video or a picture or something somewhere, so I don't have it yet, but I just got an email from the production company that they're going to send it this week, so it should be coming to Denmark.
Okay, great. I think everyone's happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I need to ask this question. I know our time is running out, and you briefly mentioned your singing. You made a holiday album this year that I've listened to since it released, and like the Christmas Time Machine is just so much fun. I wanted to say thank you for having Christmas Vacation on there because that song is underrated.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get the idea to make an album, and are you gonna make more albums?
Yeah, it was I don't know, a couple of years ago. What was it? I think I worked on like one Christmas song a couple of years ago, and I wrote an original Christmas song, and like years ago I used to be in a band, and we put out a Christmas song, and so I think just a couple of years ago I really, I don't know what stuck in my head about the idea of like, I've got to put out a Christmas album. And then when we taped this holiday special, I was like, okay, I did some singing with Robin. Like legally, I'm not going to put those songs on the album,
Right.
but there is some, there's going to be some buzz. So I'm like, I got to get working on this. And so once I moved to Denmark and we kind of got settled in the house, and now that I work with Lego all day, Monday through Friday, I feel like I can explore some other hobbies, on my free time. And so that's what I worked on from like in my free time from September to December. I worked on those songs, and some friends from back in the States helped and sent recordings of different tracks. And then in the end, I didn't actually publish it as early as I'd liked. So it didn't really get that, it didn't really have time to get the traction from, the popularity of the special. But it didn't matter because in the end it was just something that I set out to do, and now those tracks are hitting all of the streaming platforms right now, and obviously the holiday season is over, but they'll be there for next year. And so maybe I'll produce just a little something more for next Christmas, and have something new to share and say, and these are all out there on the streaming platforms. So I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it did. Like, I think it'd be really cool if like you made like an album of like Lego songs. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but like, I think
yeah,
cool.
I actually, I've always, it's the legality of that stuff is so challenging because, even within Lego, but especially within Lego Masters, there's so many different stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think I would probably ever release a full album, an album full of Lego songs, but I do actually own the rights to Here We Go, We're Building with Bricks Now.
That's good. That's good. That's like
season
something
one.
that everyone that's something that everyone knows that watches one.
Yeah. I mean, it has some competition now with Boppy the Unicorn, Boppy the Hip Hop Unicorn.
Yeah. But Robin made that one up, but I did technically write Here We Go, Here We Go, We're Building with Bricks Now on the fly while Will was standing at our table. So then after the show, I talked to the production company, and I went through ASCAP, and I got the license for that song. And so I think I will. I've always wanted to put something out there that people could listen to on the streaming services, and just like, hey Siri, play Boone Langston, Here We Go, We're Building with Brick Now. And I actually, Siri's listening to me. Sorry. But now that I've figured out with the Christmas album how to do that and how to get songs on the streaming platforms, I actually think I probably will put out just like maybe a short, like a 1-minute version of Here We Go. So I don't know. We'll see.
I love it.
That's great. Yeah, thank you so much. Like, I can't wait to like I'm assuming your builds will be like your sets are designed now will be in stores very soon if they're not in the stores yet.
Yeah, it's the production cycle takes a little bit. So you in like 2024,
I will buy your Lego sets.
watch out
I
for
cannot
some
wait.
of the things that I've designed. So
That's awesome. Can't wait.
Thank you so much. Like, I know you don't do many interviews and stuff like that, and it just means a lot to me that you said yes to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no problem. Josh, Mark, you guys are great. Thank you so much for having me. And if you're out there listening, thank you so much for watching Lego Masters and for listening to Silent Podcasts. And go out there and build something awesome.
Awesome. And follow Boone's YouTube page, Boone Builds. It's great. It's an awesome thing. You have to.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram. You can find me everywhere. Boone Builds or Boone Langston.
Thank you so much, Boone. This really was awesome.
Yes, thank you
have a
so
great
much.
rest of your night.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.